This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everyone. It's 10:30. We will get started with the Isicsb board meeting for December. If you are remoted in, if you could please mute your microphones, that would be appreciated. Holly, will you call roll, please?
Yes. Sir, Luke Lane. Present, representing Communication Centers.
Mindy Benson. Mindy. Curtis Woughton, he's not going to be here. Michelle Bishop.
Present.
David Ness.
Here, representing Municipal Police.
Jeff Vanderwater.
Present, representing Sheriffs.
And Patrick Updike.
Patrick Updike, present, member at large.
See, we do have a quorum.
Great. Are there any legislative members
That's about like CCP, it's like great, maybe I've done.
present?
We need to have like 6 or months or a year experience, I think.
Yeah, they generally reject this kind of like something.
Great. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today. We will dive into our agenda. First up is approval of today's agenda. I do have one amendment, and that is to add 2 certificate INTD awards for Alexis Sandich and Stephanie Norris that are carryovers from last month, but we'd like to give them the opportunity to be recognized. So we'll move that to old business. Are there any other amendments? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Ness will move the agenda as amended.
And a second.
Andy Waters, second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. That brings us to the approval of the meeting minutes from November 14th. I'll entertain a motion.
Ness moves.
And a second.
Will second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the minutes as presented from November 14th signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. SWIC report. Our SWIC is at a conference and therefore remote. Haley.
Yes, thank you, everyone. I will try this again. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. The 911 Council report did not go as planned, so I apologize to anyone who was on that meeting. Okay, jumping right in. The eFog beta test did result in some notes that from the end users. I want to thank everyone who did participate in that beta test. From that feedback, we reviewed and revised some content for the FOG. That's the Field Operation Guide, and also went ahead and reviewed the TICP, the Tactical Interoperable Communications Plan, to ensure that those changes were tracked in both documents. It was time for the TICP's annual review anyway, so all of this was very timely. That document was adopted in November of 2023, so that all worked out. The electronic field operation guide is now available in a downloadable application through the Public Safety Library. Please reach out to me if you need assistance in downloading that free application or haven't yet seen or heard about that or received that link from me. The directions can be found on the CISA website, and we'll also work to get that information on our website in the documents with our current PDF version of the FOG. It is a pretty slick little application to have on your phone or other device. If you don't already also know about it, you can have the NIFOG in that same public safety library and right there handy on your device to carry with you in your pocket, and you don't necessarily need the paper version. For our TA requests, if you'll remember, we had 5 submissions. Each state is allowed to request 5 submissions now 2 times a year. We did that. The COM-L was approved. We had a scoping call, and so that will be held in Council Bluffs April 1st through the 4th. There will be room for 30 students in that course if anyone's interested. Just a reminder that ICS 300 is a prerequisite, so if you don't have that, you'll need to find an opportunity to get that course, or if you know anyone who wants to take that COM-L Communications Unit Leader course. FEMA advised me they will be posting so far that they know 6 opportunities for ICS 300, and some of those will fall before that April date. Also, there is an opportunity to take a hybrid online course through DC, and I have the information and a link to that. So just let me know if you need any information on that. The course registration is not live yet, but I will be getting that pushed out. And I've already heard from some people who are interested. Just keep me updated, and I'll just keep reminding at every opportunity and meeting that I attend about that course. Also, our other TA request that was approved was a COM-T that is tentatively scheduled for sometime late April or early May. We're still waiting on some instructor schedules for that, but we will be holding that in the springtime also. It'll be in the Cedar Rapids area. So that's the communication technician course, and that has a maximum student capacity of about 16. So just be aware that that's coming up also. Look at your schedules and make time and room for that course. So that means that, and I found that out this week at the SWIC conference, that the other 3 requests that we made are denied or deferred, meaning that they're not moving forward with the courses that we asked for. That's due to budgetary restraints and the instructors that are available. So I will not get the other courses, but Iowa does have the opportunity to ask again for up to 5 more courses in the next round in 2025, which is open April 1st. So we need to prioritize our requests and be thinking about what's top of the list, and then put those requests in again. So we'll be coming to you, the board, as we start to think about what TAs we want, and we'll be talking about that guide in the scissor report. And then just a reminder to anyone on the call that I just want to remind everyone that there is this governance board that we have for the whole Isicsb system, and our training and outreach committee that is available to provide information to anyone who yet isn't on the system or wants to know more about the system and how it works. And we are collectively willing to provide that information anytime, and there's a lot of resources here through the board and all of these committees and all of the stakeholders that make up the Isicsb system. So anyone listening, I know that a lot of people listening are part of the Isicsb already, but anyone out there listening who isn't, reach out to us and we can find you the resources to explain how this system can work for you. And then as I'm here at NCSWC, which is the National Council of SWCs, we meet twice a year. I just want to remind everyone about my role as a coordinator of interoperable communications, and that means for all agencies and disciplines across the state and the region, and up to the federal government, down to the local agencies. not just for the LMR system, but for everyone involved in emergency communications to get the right information to the right people. And just a reminder that it's about everyone trying to communicate all times, good days, blue sky days, dark sky days. And so that's all I have for my report, unless there are any questions for me.
Great. Thank you, Swick-Nichols. Are there any questions for Swick-Nichols? (911) Council Report, Program Manager DeRushi.
Thank you. It was a pretty short 911 council meeting that preceded the board meeting. A couple highlights from that. Updated the council members that we did hold the PSAP leadership training back in November. We had 28 participants in that, so that was well attended. We also released the annual legislative report, so that is available on our website as well as the LSA legislative portal. A couple things looking ahead. We did have some discussion today, and it'll come to a vote in the January meeting about the continuation of the online training portal that we have procured and what that could look like going forward. So just for those that might be interested or users of that online training portal, we are looking to continue it. And really the question and the topic will be how long to continue to fund that, just with the funding that we do have available. And then finally, also in January, we will have Department of Management come in and kind of give a quick 15 to 20 minute budgeting training. It's one of the modules actually that we have in the PSAP leadership training, but since it is budget season, thought it'd be good to bring John Parker from Department of Management in and give that at the council meeting as well. So if anyone is involved in 911 budgets at the local level, the January meeting would be a great one to attend, and it's always available virtually or watch after the fact when we post those meeting recordings to YouTube. So that was the highlights from the council meeting today. I would take any questions if there are any.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions for Program Manager DeRushi? Great, thank you. The User Group Committee, Chair Vandewater.
The users group met on November 21st. There was 8 members present. It was a fairly short meeting. We had no RIC reports, and we reviewed the amended application that will appear in the new business. That concludes my report.
Great. Are there any questions for the user group? Thank you, Chair. That brings us to the Finance Committee, and the Finance Committee met this week. We reviewed the expenditures. There was one expenditure that caused us some questions, is that $985. That was misappropriated, and Captain Ho has requested that accounting correct that and put that in the proper account. But other than that issue, the finances are all in order, and you can see the balances there. Are there any questions regarding the finance report? Thank you. Governance Committee, Chair Ness.
Governance met this month and reviewed some policies and will continue to do so. Nothing for the board's attention at this time.
Fantastic, thank you. Are there any questions for the Governance Committee? Next up is Operations. Chair Erbelding.
Operations Committee met on December 4th. We worked to review 3 standards in our 2024 schedule, 2 of which had unsubstantial changes, and we wanted to make the board aware that moves them to version 2.0 status. Those 2 standards were 1.8.0, that exercise communications. The other one was planning standard, the 1.12.0 announcement. We also reviewed tactile interoperability communications plan. for its regular annual review and discuss some needed changes that have been made. We also began discussion on the system tech standard, the 1.14.0 talk group standard. System administrators initially suggested the standard be deleted. It is not used as written from 2018, and they can't see it ever being implemented or used. The Operations Committee requested further discussion before bringing any agenda items for the standard to the board. So look for more on that in 2025. One final note, the operations review schedule. There are still 3 standards for 2024 scheduled that have not been completed yet. Those will be our first priority in 2025. Visiting the SWIC and the board members, we don't believe it's going to take long to wrap that up. We'll get that finished at the start of 2025. With that being said, our first meeting will also be switched to February due to the conflict of the holiday, first Wednesday in January. That concludes my report. Any questions? Thank you.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions for the Operations Committee and Chair Erpelding? That brings us to the Training and Outreach Committee. Swick Nichols, are you reporting on behalf of Chair Wooten?
Yes, thank you. We met on November 21st. We were reviewing some more on the communications unit credentialing procedures. That is still in progress. And the training for there is a training being created for the position task book, and that is still in progress. And that's the end of the report.
Excellent, thank you. Are there any questions for Training and Outreach? That brings us to Technology and Chair Updike.
Thanks. Technology did not meet in November because of the holiday, and then we didn't meet in the first part of December because of a personal project that needed attention. So, and we're not going to meet in late December either because it's the day after Christmas. So we're hoping to meet the 2nd of January, and hopefully everybody will be done with the holidays and ready to get back to that. So we did get the ICS 217A pushed out with the new version, so it's sitting out there. Been working or planning on working further with Scott and Al and Dave on a radio test where we're going to demonstrate some of the functionality of those 6 channels that were added to the ICS 217A. So hopefully the weather holds up in January that I can drive up here and we can run that demonstration on some handhelds. Basically what we want to do is set them up on 2 different talk groups, if you will, network IDs, and put them on the same frequency, and then hopefully demonstrate that if they're not too close to each other, they'll work, and kind of demonstrate some of that. The only other thing is that Haley Nichols had me work on the technology report for the legislative year-end report, and so I got that accomplished and pushed that out to her, and that's about it for the technology report for this month.
Great, thank you, Chair Updike. Are there any questions for Technology? All right. Next is the FirstNet Broadband Subcommittee. Chair Benson, has she joined us? Swick Nichols, do you have a report from the FirstNet Broadband Subcommittee in Mindy's absence?
I do not. I was not in attendance at that meeting. I apologize.
Okay. No, that's quite all right. Other reports, information sharing from board members. Is there any information that the board members would like to share amongst ourselves? Okay, hearing none, and I do not have anything this month either.
That brings us then to the system administrator report. Scott Richardson.
Thank you. I will start off with a maintenance update. As you all know, we're currently undergoing a 6 Astro upgrade at the moment. It's scheduled to wrap up tomorrow, Friday. As part of that upgrade, its end users have experienced some various outages, brief console outages, RF site trunking outages, as well as some longer duration wave smart connect outages. Those outages should now be concluded, and we're close to wrapping up, like I say, tomorrow. The upgrade has been mostly smooth. There have been some challenges with a Zone 2 DSR switchover. Motorola is currently working on that issue, and we hope to have an update to that for next month. DPS has had a couple of connectivity issues with some system management tools in the NOC. Motorola is working that issue as well. And finally, on the last point of the maintenance, there is an antenna replacement scheduled for the Tama site today. Our crew should be on site now, and that should be completed by early afternoon. Other than that, I've got numbers for the previous month. Radios stand at 41,280. Talk groups are currently at 3,424. And last month's push to talks were 2,758,000. That concludes my report.
Great. Thank you. That brings us to the First Net Authority. Tom Lampy.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I get just a little bit for you, not a whole lot, but yesterday we had our board meeting in Boulder with our we have a new chair now and several new board members. So that was kicked off in Boulder. We have some new leadership there, so we're interested to see how the board takes us for the next couple of years. The other piece is I reported this last month about our coverage workshop. We're continuing to start those across the country. That's still moving, and we're constantly updating our maps that we will be showing you. And I fully anticipate, and we all anticipate, that our coverage maps are going to hopefully have the most accurate information we have. We know that some of it will match what you have in Iowa, and we know that some of ours, there will be places where we don't have a dot on the map where we need coverage, and that's why we rely on the states for this, and governing bodies that can have people at the workshops that can identify those gaps. Like I said before, I'll give you plenty of notice, and so we can have, hopefully you can get the proper people there when we announce that we're going to do Iowa. So we are working on our emergency management field guide for the emergency communication centers across the country. This guide is we're going to add things to it to show how the 911 centers can use FirstNet. We thought that was kind of lacking about our centers and how FirstNet applies to the ECCs. Our 5x5 conference will be in Seattle, week of June 25th. I did send Holly that information. It'll be in Bellevue, Washington. So it'll be June 3rd through the 5th of 25. I've been working with my states on the LMR interoperability and offering lab tours to some that have not seen the lab. And the technology we used for the priority and preemption is to show how that works, as well as the LTE LMR and how that works in our lab and how they integrate. I can take questions if that's what I have for this month.
Great. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. Are there any questions for the First Net Authority and Tom Lampy? All right. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
That brings us to AT&T for their update. Bart.
Good morning, everybody. Short update today. We're still, the main focus on these will always be the network modernization. We had 3 recent upgrades go through for the last month with one in Knoxville, New London, and West Burlington. All 3 towers were upgraded to Ericsson equipment and received 5G C-band upgrades as well. So that's all I got. If there's any questions.
Great. Thank you very much. Any questions for AT&T? Great. Thank you very much. That brings us to the CISA update that is normally delivered by Chris Myers. He was unavailable this morning, so Swick Nichols is going to fill in.
Yeah, I will be able to do, Holly, do you have his slides to pull up? And I can run through them the best I can. I will not do it justice like he does, but that will shorten it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I can just give a high-level overview. Okay, so is that the first slide there? Okay, perfect. So this is what they're hammering on, the guides to best practices to protect against the People's Republic of China. China remains the most active and persistent cyber threat to U.S. government, private sector, and critical infrastructure networks. So if you have an opportunity to follow these links and take a look at what CISA is providing to help you take action and remain cyber secure in your agencies, I would recommend taking a look at those. They did just put on a webinar, I believe, the beginning of this week, and that webinar was recorded, so that is available also at those links. Next slide. And all these links are just at the CISA website, by the way. So the insights from the CISA web red team, this outlines recommendations for improving cybersecurity posture based on the lessons learned. Another link that you can follow. I won't read the slide out like Chris does, but just another link that he provides for you to dig deeper into how to keep yourself and your agency cyber secure. Next slide. Safe AI deployment. We've talked a lot about AI at this conference specifically. It's here, it's everywhere. So here's another paper that Homeland Security is putting out. It has collaborative guidance for you, and what's the second bullet point? Comprehensive coverage for the bad actors who are using AI for those negative attacks also. Next slide. And then getting to the technical assistance catalog. So I told you that Iowa's requests are done for the first half of the year, but there are other technical assistance that that are still available and that wouldn't count against or don't cost out of the same budgets. So you might take a look at the technical assistance catalog. There are some free offerings such as this PACE planning toolkit. There are some also cyber resilient 911 offerings that come out of a different bucket. I would ask that PSAPs in particular take a look at those. If there are PSAPs that are interested in some of those offerings, please reach out to me. We can get some others. We can get Chris involved and CISA and deliver some of those across the state. And like I said, this guide is comprehensive. There are a lot of offerings in there. Next slide. I know Chris has talked a lot about cyber resilient 911 offerings. Yes. Oh, did somebody have something? There are a lot of workshops. We did just have a discussion on what is available to PSAPs, and I believe that this would be beneficial. So if this is something that the 911 community thinks might help them, reach out to me and we can look further into this. I think a couple of agencies across Iowa getting this offering and then rolling out what they learn to other agencies would be very beneficial. Next slide. Another infrastructure survey tool. There's a link there that provides generated protective measures, index, and resilience measurement index. This is all products through CISA. All of this is available on their website. You can identify the security gaps at your agency. Go ahead, Holly, with the next slide. And then he's just got a list of what's going on across the nation with technical assistance updates. One thing of note of that, with FIFA coming up, Kansas City is going to be hosting some courses. I think we've mentioned it before. So if you're looking for COMMU courses and you can't find them here in Iowa because our requests were not approved, Kansas City is opening those up region-wide, and I know that they will have quite a few courses coming up, but also the ComX to go along with it, and 2 rounds and the opportunity for your task book to get signed off on that. So please keep that in mind if you're willing to or your agency is allowing you to travel. Next slide. I think that might be the end of it. Okay, that's all we've got from CISA. Thanks so much for letting me do that.
Great, thank you so much. Are there any questions for CISA that we can take back to Chris? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to our next agenda item, which is a special order, and that is to nominate and elect both the chair and the vice chair of this board. So with that, I will open the floor for nominations for board chair.
This is Dave. I was thrilled to hear that Michelle is willing to continue serving in this capacity, and I would make a nomination for Chair Bischoff to continue serving.
Okay, thank you, and I am willing. That hasn't changed. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, we need to vote. All those in favor of maintaining myself as chair, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And that brings us then to the vice chair position, and we'll open the floor for nominations for vice chair.
I don't want to jump in front of others, but I'm similarly excited if Patrick is willing to continue in his service as vice chair. I was excited for his career transition that we were able to keep him involved, and if he continues to be willing to serve, I'd make that nomination.
Thank you. Are there any, I guess, and Patrick, do you accept?
I accept it.
Very well. Are there any other nominations? All right. All those in favor of Chair Updike's remaining vice chair of the board, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. So Patrick and myself will remain chair and vice chair respectively, and thank you for letting us serve in this capacity. Old business. We need to go back and award the INTD certificates for Alex Sonic. I hope I'm butchering your last name and I apologize. And Stephanie Norris. And Vice Chair Updike has agreed to take photos with you. So if you'd come forward, please.
Yeah.
And if we could give them a round of applause.
That's Stephanie Norris. That's your name.
Oh, came to the right place. Thank you. I don't know how to do that.
Great. Thank you very much, both of you, for your effort in seeking out the accreditation and to your organization for encouraging you to do so. That brings us to new business and new Isicsb approval. Chair Vandewater? No, go ahead.
Based on the users group unanimous vote, I would ask or make a motion that the board approve Palo Alto County Sheriff's Office's amended application with level 2 and the addition of their talk groups in order that they may be granted enhanced access to the Isicsb system.
Great. There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. All those in favor of Palo Alto County Sheriff's Office, their updated request to become a level 2. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Our next item is the approval of the annual legislative report. Swick Nichols has done a fantastic job of putting this report together, and many of you have contributed to it. So that is the item before us, is approval of that legislative or the codified requirement for us to produce an annual report. So without further ado, I'll entertain a motion to approve that report.
Vandewater would make a motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second.
Yes, second.
All those in favor of approving the annual legislative report as presented, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to public comment. Are there any members of the public that would like to address the board? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Vandewater moves.
And a second.
Yes.
All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
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 Very well. We sit adjourned. Have a very happy holiday season, and we will see you in the new year. Thank you so much.
Thank you.